One of the most dangerous positions you could ever be in this entire life of yours is being in a position where your only identity comes from your external world. Okay? Going down a path like that, I am a testament to the fact that it leads to nothing but pure fucking emptiness. There's nothing fulfilling about going down a path that you did not choose for yourself. And how are you supposed to choose anything for yourself when you're constantly so wrapped up in the idea of what people think of you, the idea of how can I perceive myself as this? When you may not even like what this is, but you just want to gain the attention or the approval or the acceptance of your peers or an authority figure. All that is doing is pushing you farther and farther and farther away from where you're truly supposed to be at. And I'm telling you, the longer that you take pushing yourself away from your own path, your own identity, what you like, the longer it takes to get back on track. And sometimes people will never make it back on track. Sometimes people stay stuck for the rest of their life. And I hope if you're watching this, you are someone that does not want to stay stuck. I hope I can ignite a thought or a conversation to be brought up about where it is you were meant to be going. Because I can guarantee you, it's not about the party. It's not about the friends' approval. If people do not like you for you being you, that is a pure indicator that they were never going to like you. They were never meant to be on your path. But we live in this day and age of just infinite accessibility to information. We're always online. We see, I don't feel like, I know. All we see on social media is the highlight reel. We see the 18-year-olds making $1 million, driving Lambos. We see just this life of unrealism. The internet is so dystopian for the way it perceives how life should be lived. If you think about it, what's true to yourself may not be true to others. And what I mean by that is we're constantly told what we're supposed to want. We're constantly told what we're supposed to do. If it's not by an authority figure, then it's by the pressure of group thought. It is by seeing what your peers are doing and feeling like you're not doing enough. And all of that is a distraction. All of that, it's so distinctly distraction based to the point where I would label it as a weapon against humanity. And what's crazy about that is how freely we allow it to dictate our next move and our next action. I want you to think about the next question that I'm about to ask you. And so here's the question. What would you do? What would you do? Who would you be if you had no one in your life right now? If you were just completely by yourself, if you were stuck on a remote island with no one, nothing, what would you do? What type of person would you be? Would you be someone who sits around and reads all day? Would you be someone who is like exploring the island, trying to find new things? Would you be someone who just wants to frolic around the grass and dance and just make up little daydreams here and there? Like, seriously, what would you do? And I'm asking you to think about this question, because we've honestly, as a society, as a collective, we have lost the plot. We have lost what it means to be human. And the first part of this started a long, long time ago when they invented the structure of this earth that we live in today. And it's weird because we are seeing the collapse of this structure. We're seeing the collapse of corporate America. We're seeing the collapse of our political ideologies. We're seeing the collapse of the veil. And I say all of this because it's so important to form your own opinions. It's so important to be able to truly think for yourself. It is so important to have the sovereignty to understand what you do and don't like, where you do and don't want to go. So many people are just still caught up in the race. The race of wanting to prove themselves to others. The race of this idea, this figment of your imagination of what you think life is supposed to be like. And it's not your fault that you think life is supposed to be like this, because we live in this world where the internet has completely ruined the idea of what it is to actually be human, to actually be a sovereign individual. And I want to take this point home by just saying, I'm someone who I have lived a majority of my life questioning my identity. I've lived a majority of my life fiending for the approval of others. And all that gets you, it just gets you nowhere. It gets you emptiness. It gets you put in some of the most dangerous decisions, dangerous places you could ever be in. Because think about it. If you're someone who cannot make a decision on their own, how are you supposed to do anything? Seriously. You can't do something at work without your boss's approval. You don't know what to wear unless your significant other tells you what to wear. You don't know what to think unless your friends agree with what you think. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how dangerous that can be? For a lot of people, including myself, when you live so long not knowing who you are, and then you start having all these realizations, they just start hitting you like one after another after another. It's almost as if like an explosion of your ego takes place. And that's a dangerous spot to be in. I know myself, when I had this moment of explosion in my life of like, holy shit, I genuinely have not been living for myself. I have been completely living for others. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I'll tell it right now. I was in a 7-year relationship from 17 to 24. And when that relationship ended, this is how it ended. This is so embarrassing to admit. Oh my God, am I really about to say this online? Here goes nothing. I was dating this guy for, like I said, 7 years. At the point of the relationship that we were in, he was telling me, he was like, okay, I was taking care of like all the bills from like, we moved out together at like 18. And yeah, I was basically I was the breadwinner in the relationship. And so the last 6 months of our relationship, he was like, you've done such a good job of holding it down, taking care of both of us. I want to be able to return the favor, so I want to take care of the bills. I got you. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm chill. I thought I was chilling. Anyways, one of his friends comes and stays with us for like a month. No, his friend stayed with us for like 3 months. It was like from May to September, like the end of August. So May, June, July, August. So 3 months. Yeah. Stayed with us for 3 months. And at the end of him staying with us, he was like, okay, I gotta drive him up to the airport. At the time we were living in like near Destin, Florida, and he was driving him to Atlanta, Georgia, the airport up there. I'm like, okay. So he already told, he had family up there, and he told me, he was like, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I get a call a couple days later. Keep in mind, this is the very end of August. So September's rent is coming up. Anyways, I digress. I get a call a couple days before rent is due with no job, no money, nothing. And he tells me, he's like, hey, yeah, so I know I said I was going to Atlanta, but I actually ended up in Miami. And I don't know when I'm coming back. At first I was like, are you kidding? That right there should have been the red flag I needed. And I wish the story did not get any worse, but I continue. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I don't have a way to give you rent money right now. I spent it, but he was like, I spent it, but I spent it to make triple of what I had, blah, 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 blah. It's gonna be back. I'm like, okay, whatever. If you know, I'm talking to like a full-blown scammer at this point. Anyways, I can't even remember what I did for rent money, but I remember at the time I was doing like coding and crypto stuff on the side, and so I was able to figure it out. So the whole month of September, he's gone, and me and him, we both have a dog. He had a pit bull. I had an old shelter dog. He's like a mutt. He's a German Shepherd mix, but he doesn't look like a German Shepherd. He's like a medium-sized, chunky dog. I'll show you. He's right here. That is my medium-sized, chunky German Shepherd mutt dog. So anyways, he is, it's, okay, so now we're at the point where the whole month of September has gone by. I'm like bothering him because I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna make October's rent. Like, what the hell is going on here? And so he's like, I'm coming back. I'll be back in a few days, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the dogs get in a fight. And when I tell you they get in a fight, I was trying to break the fight up, and I had blood running down me. And I just remember I was in like complete disarray. I'm running down the middle of the street, screaming my head off, screaming, help, somebody help me. There were these people who were like working on a lawn, like a couple houses down. I ran over to them. They thought that like the blood was mine. I was in so much shock. I didn't even know. I was just like, you have to help me. My dogs are fighting. I can't get it. Anyways, the guy comes and helps me. We separate the dogs. And in that moment, the one thought that I had in my head, I was literally freaking out. I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, my boyfriend is going to be so mad at me because his dog got hurt in this fight. This is literally how fucking manipulated I was. So then I call the vet, and the vet comes over, and the vet says to me, the vet looks me dead in my eyes, and he's like, that dog, my boyfriend's dog, is okay. Like, she is perfect. She's going to live to see another day, but your dog, if this happens again, your dog is not going to make it. And when I tell you, the tears that just came running down my face, and it was so much like pain and realism that hit me all at once. It was like, this is the life that I have been living. This is how I have been truly living for others. I have been acting in a way to just appease others. And the one thing that I care about, the absolute most in this life, could have died. And I was over here worried about my fucking boyfriend and what he was gonna say or do to me because of his dog. I'm telling this whole story and I'm explaining this to you, so hopefully you can get it through your head before it's too late. In that moment, when I tell you, a fucking bomb went off in my head. And I went, from that moment, that was a very divisive moment in my life. When I tell you I went wild, I went crazy, I took my dog, I packed my shit up, and I was not there when he got back. I was literally in a position, I was like, my name is on this lease, but I don't even care if he pays it or doesn't pay it. I cannot be here. I cannot be in this. And it took that just insane moment to happen for me to gain the clarity that my whole entire identity is completely wrapped up in serving this man. This man that literally doesn't give a fuck about me. I have so many, it was 7 years long. I could tell you so many stories about so many just psychotic things that I did for the approval of someone else. And it all stemmed from my childhood. I have a disabled parent, and majority, all of my childhood, my childhood was defined by being my disabled parent's helper, by making sure that person got what they needed. If they got what they needed, we were good. Fuck your needs, fuck everyone else's needs. If they get what they needed, you are going to live. That is the environment that I grew up in. And when I got in the relationship with this man at 17 years old, I knew what was, I consciously knew what was and was not right. I knew that there was not something right with my parents. I knew that the way I was living was not right. But I didn't have the sovereignty, I didn't have the self-identity to go seek out what was right for myself. I was running, and I ran right into another version of my parents. And I allowed this man to bring me down for 7 fucking years. And it took my dog almost dying for me to get it through my head that if I don't start making decisions on my own, if I don't understand who I am, the end is going to come sooner than later. And when this bomb went off in my head, this realization, this just extreme situation that had to happen to wake me up out of this like slumber, this like just like daziness that was over my view of reality, I got even more lost before I found my way out of it. I was completely aware that my life was fucked. And because of that, I just wanted to numb and forget. I was at the bars nightly. I was doing that gardening nightly. And it was this whole thing of then, so I transitioned from being codependent on someone else to being codependent on groups, social interactions, parties. That's where this whole idea of what I'm saying is like the emptiness. Like the emptiness was still there, but I was framing it as like, yeah, I need to still work on my shit, but at least I'm not where I was back there, which is a point, but it's also the point that I'm trying to make here is it wasn't the solution to my problem. It was never going to be the solution to my problem. The only solution to that type of problem that you have, in my opinion, it takes a period of isolation. You need to be alone. You need to be alone with yourself. You need to find what it is that you love to do by yourself. For me, what I love to do, I love yoga. I love plants, like gardening, not gardening like, you know what I mean. Anyways, I love thrifting. I love my dog so much. And every day I wake up, I tell him how sorry I am for what he had to go through because of my unawareness. But also how grateful I am because he literally saved my life. Oh my God. The point of me telling this whole story is just simply that you're never gonna get anywhere when your identity is wrapped up in someone else's story. And the way to find who you are on an individual level, first of all, you can't fit in anywhere in society until you figure out who you are on an individual level, and then you can start to attract what it is that lifts you up truly. So to get to that point, to figure out who you are on an individual level, it takes a journey of stillness. You have to let go of the noise. You need to take a break from social media. You can't be going out to parties every night. Sitting in the stillness, looking yourself in the mirror, and being like, this is where I am. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? It takes getting real with yourself. And what I'm talking about, the stuff that I talk about, the stuff that I preach and teach on this channel, it's all of the work that people genuinely avoid doing. Everything that I talk about is how to become the best version of yourself. And a lot of times, people already know what to do, but it's so fucking hard. It's not even that it's hard, it's simply that it takes so much work. It takes so much awareness to be able to get there. It takes you looking at the pain. It takes you accepting what has been done, picking up the pieces and truly moving on. You're never going to find that identity. You're never going to find yourself if you're constantly trying to run away from your problems. You're never going to find that identity if you're constantly trying to numb away the problems. You are never going to find that identity if you are constantly trying to seek the approval of others. That identity is only going to come out for you once you have given it a safe, still space to just be. So are you willing to do that for yourself? Are you willing to go the extra mile? And you know, I say go the extra mile, but the crazy thing about it is, the world that we live in today, it is actually easier to be successful than it is to be unsuccessful, because so many people are unsuccessful because they're so addicted to their vices. They're addicted to their phone. They're addicted to doom scrolling. They're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to drugs. They're addicted to partying. They're addicted to numbing. They're addicted to not wanting to do the work. They're addicted to lying to themselves. And all it takes is for you to have a real ass conversation with yourself. Get so grounded in reality. You may be crying your eyes out. You may not even know what the next step to take is, but I promise you that inner being, your soul, your identity will show itself if you allow the stillness and the space for it to come in.